Here's a fast little tutorial about the CxAssembler Indra to Index project that I've been working on. This tutorial is as of the date June 2018, the 13th. Alright, so I'm going to try and keep this real fast, but still give an overview of everything. So first things, what is the purpose of the project? And I guess it's easiest to just show that real quickly on my iPad. Basically what we're doing is just a data transfer. So you have, data set 1, data set 2, and then one of these guys is called Indra, which, all of this is for biological data. The other is called index. And then what we're doing is we just build something called the CxAssembler that goes between the two of these. CX, the thing in Indra is, the thing in index is called the CX common format, because index itself is like a website. And so you have this thing called the CxAssembler that goes in between the two of these guys in one direction. As of right now, it's unidirectional. It goes from Indra to index. At least the part that we're working on is unidirectional. Okay, so now let's show the code. Alright, so all the code was written inside of a Jupyter notebook. So there is one notebook that has basically all the code that we care about, called CxAssembler right here. Let's first, I guess, just show where it is located in Jupyter. So this is like the home screen of Jupyter. You can visit it by going to indra.akintunde.org.tree. And then inside here, what you have is the files right here, which are just the different files I was making as I was testing out ideas. The last thing that I've done, as you can see, it's the one that's running right now, the green little guy, test bell, is where I took the bell corpus, which is about 65,000 Indra statements, and converted them over to the index common format and uploaded them to index. In the common format, more or less in the format NC2. I'll explain what that is in just a few seconds. And these are other ones that I tested in the past. Let's see. Well, probably the most interesting one to mention here is the index 2. That's where I actually changed a lot of the code in the CxAssembler. So the CxAssembler already existed in a previous form. I just made it follow the index common format to the letter. Well, kinda. And so one of the things that changed most of the code was using this package called index2, which was created by the index team. So that made some considerable changes to the Indra code. The code itself that really does the heavy lifting is this file right here called CxAssembler. And so if we go to that, this is a file that takes an Indra statement and turns it into all the code of index. And so I list right here the issues, things that are not done that, should be done, for like phase 2 of working on this. Then, here we have a setup notebook, which is, actually I think if I do Control Shift here, I just expand all of them. Okay, cool. So here, basically how this works is, oh yeah, this one I actually don't run stuff from other files. So this one is just what you see. You load stuff here, and then we create the class CxAssembler, and inside of the class we basically run the code. I'm trying to think which are the most important parts to highlight. Well, probably right here is where we actually show kind of like how it works. Basically, it's almost like just a for loop where you take Indra statements one at a time, and you take that Indra statement and then you turn it into the index form of the Indra statement. And you can see right here, it's basically just add statement. It's, oh, for this statement, hey, is that statement one of these types? Hey, if it's this type, add it in this way. And that's how it runs. That's how all this code runs. And then the add command just calls these things right here, which, you add the node from the statement, and then you add the edges from the statement. Yeah, and that's really it. Those are like the meat of this code, of how this code works. And then down here, these are basically like little addition helper functions for adding stuff. So here's like edge attributes. This is like extra code that goes inside the add edge stuff. Here's stuff that goes inside the add node stuff. Yeah, so that's how this code works basically. There's a lot more documentation than that in the CxAssembler documentation file. And so this basically just gives a lot more documentation about how everything works. You have here that really explains what an Indra statement is. The YouTube video that you're watching right now it's just some random thing, but it will be this video when you guys see it. This is actually pretty big. This is a documentation that really explains what the index common format is and what all the stuff in it is supposed to be. So this documentation is really good. And then, really just explanation about what Indra objects are, explanations about how the code works right here. And then this is more explanation about the functions and how all the functions work together to create the CxAssembler. All right, so other than that, there's actually one other file that might be useful if you're looking at this in the future, and that's the old one. Just basically has all the old functions of the CxAssembler in one place. So if there's ever oh, they did this thing in the past and I wished, I had the code for that function, you can find it there. Other than that, there's some other fun kind of cool things in the notebook. Here, for instance, in the Bell example, which is kind of the latest one that I did, you can see the notebook kind of has a different than usual setup. That's because I ran this source setup notebook, which just runs some commands to make it look pretty and installs all the environment variables that you will be using, from Indra. This imports this imports the Bell, but yeah, this just imports stuff. Indra View, what this one does is another one you can check out. Indra View basically just makes these kind of nice graphical interfaces that you can use to check out what an Indra statement is. So here we see we can go to different Indra statements, and then from that Indra statement, actually here it says, Indra statement view. You can actually access this statement in Python code if you want to manipulate it later. And then down here, CxAssembler, this is that thing that I was talking about. This is basically how you import a IPYNB file. Oh, and then when you finally do build this, you probably want to export it to a Python file, because that's what people are used to seeing. But yeah, you can see here you run the CxAssembler, which basically loads in the CxAssembler class, and then from there you can use the class to make the index file and then upload it to index down here. And yeah, I think that covers everything. So how you actually get this code, it's pretty straightforward. So I made the operating system in a Docker container. So all the code can be accessed just by pulling the Docker, by basically downloading the operating system is how you can imagine it. But you use Docker, so it's just a one line of code you put in your terminal and it's done. And then you download the operating system. After you download the operating system, then on it you have to download the project that I've been working on. That's on GitHub, so that's git clone. So you run the OS, then you do git clone inside of that to to, you know, download all these files. I guess there's one other thing you have to download. Usually it's as easy as that. This project, a little more annoying. You also have to download Indra's code itself, you know, the Indra packages. And you get that. Well, actually, I guess it's easiest to show that in here. If I go to the terminal, you can see I just updated the Docker, so it should be all up to date. All right, so this is, you know, the environment of all the Indra packages. I mean, sorry, of all the code that I wrote is right here, is all the code that I wrote. And then you see this thing called Indra. This is the one part that I didn't write. This is like another thing that you do git clone to Git, and you just put it in this location. And what Indra is from, well, I guess it could be from two places. You could either go here and go to on my account Indra, which is like my version of it, but honestly I wouldn't recommend that. What I would do is I would go to Indra, let's just try that, GitHub. I would just go to this one, which is the Soldier Lab, which is like the official one. Yeah, so you can just clone it from there. And that's all the steps to creating it. Oh, I guess another nice thing I can show you here, then, you know, to actually run the Docker, if you don't know how you want to do that, you can actually, let's see, cat run.sh. I put this little sh file inside the GitHub that gives you the exact Docker command to run right down there. And so what you can do is you can do the git clone, and then if you just like, you know, do the Docker pull of the Docker image, then you can just run that sh file, and then it will all be set up for you. So hopefully that will make things easier. Yeah, and I hope this is a helpful tutorial video for anyone who might be working on this in the future. All right, later guys.